through trying to decide. Oh, I was going to look up that. So one of the things I wanted to do, Cree Literacy Network. That's, no, not Sacred Stories. I want the Cree Literacy Network. Decoder Ring, that's the one. Summary Paradigm Tables. And then, is this Y dialect? Can't tell. Yep, that's Y dialect. Download that one. Download them. Oh no, that'd be in Kailichan. Download them. Download them. I don't know how you could say download up the man. Download up the man. I don't know how you'd say that. Download. We don't really have a word for that. That's okay. Okay. And I've got, I can draw on this. Yeah, okay. So what I was kind of hoping to do, I wanted to go through these, I've got some cards first. Sunday night. When I wanted to go through these cards first, some of them. I wonder if I can make that brighter somehow. I got these this week at this, I was at this language conference for Michif languages, and I'm not going to try and read them. There's 3 dialects here of Michif: French Michif, and then Northern Michif, and then Heritage, Southern Michif. I don't know if there's a difference between if Southern Michif and Heritage Michif are the same thing. It seemed like maybe. My understanding of Michifs are French Michif is the most like French, I think. Northern Michif is the most like Cree. And then Southern Michif, I think, is kind of a mix of both, or yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get a good answer on that. But anyway, I thought we'd go through the Northern Michif and just have a look at how close these are to Plains Cree. And they came in this box. Check this out. This little red rose box. Specially blended Michif culture, and this was the conference, Harvesting and Preserving Michif Stories. So this is just like a rich in language and culture. The Métis vast linguistic landscape includes formal recognition of Michif with its various dialects as an intangible symbol of our identity. Preservation of Métis languages transcends basic communication. It represents intricate systems of knowledge handed down through generations. Anyway, I just thought that was cool. These little red rose. So these are cards of affirmation. So let's go through some of these. Cards of affirmation. Gemami tihin. Gemami tihin. That's how I would say that. So these are Northern Michif, and I think this is basically when you talk to fluent speakers who speak Northern Michif, usually they'll say like, they'll call it like Bush Cree, or like, sometimes they'll say like Broken Cree, I guess. I don't think of it that way. I don't think it's broken. When I hear Northern Michif speakers, it's like, Inhuitic. That's what I hear. They're speaking Cree. But there are some French words in there, and I wanted to kind of look at these and see how close or how different they are. So these are your Michif words of affirmation. Kemamitihin. And I'll pull up in Y dialect how we would say that, or how we would, just because the spelling's gonna mamitsihu. So we'd say it's kemamitihin. It's pretty much actually the same. Mamitihin. Kemamitihin. Gemaskausan. This one I'd probably say a little bit different. I'd say Gemaskausin, I think. Maskaus, because that isse is at the end. Maskausu. Gemaskausin is the way I'd say that. But here it says gemaskausan, which is interesting. Gemaskausin, you are strong. Gigisewatsin. I know that sometimes like we'll put like little apostrophes and stuff to try and help the, I don't know, pronunciation, I guess. But I think it's better if you just leave them in there. In SRO anyway, that comes from Gisewatsu. Gisewa. There it is right there. Gisewatsu. Gigisewatsin. Kia. This one right here. Gisewatsin. Bump those up a bit. You still can't quite see it, can you? This one here. Gisewatsin. Or you could say Gisewatsin. Kia. You are kind. You're being kind. Okay, next one. Move that over so we can see. So Gisewatsin, you are kind. Kisowimtin. Yeah, so this one, Kisowimtin, the way we spell that in SRO, or the way we'd say that in Kisowimtin, basically the same. But I'd say Kisowe, Yim Itin Kisowimtin. So just a little bit short, like I think it's pretty much pronounced exactly the same. Kisowimtin. But in some areas, Ganahiwi in the Cree language, some of them will pronounce every little bit of this. Kisawiyimitin, Kisawiyimitin. It's sort of like Kisagitin. Some places you hear Kisagitin, and other places you hear Kisagitin. There's an extra, like all of the vowels, or all of the syllables are there, I guess I'll say. Kisagitin, Kisawimtin. Because if you say, I wonder if you can say this for, because this comes from Sawimel, which is like, Sawimnan, you hear that, Sawimnan, you hear that's like a prayer word almost, like, Sawimnan, Kutawi no tawinan, Sawimnan, like, look after us, I guess. But I kind of wonder if you can say Sawi Tao or Sawi Tam. Yeah, you totally can. Sawi Tam's like to, I guess to bless something, take pity on something. Interesting. So, not to get into like the morphology or whatever. So there's a question here. I gotta keep an eye on my comments. Sasquatch says fluent versus slang. No, it's just the way that we had this conversation around spelling. So these cards here from these are technically northern Michif, though if you ask me, it's like it's the same as it's basically the same as Cree, Plains Cree, with a few changes. But in some areas, the way that you say it, we end up spelling things kind of like quote unquote the way that you hear it or the way that you say it. And so sometimes they'll take this, so let me go back there. No, Mami Teo, Sawayim, Itin, let me get back there and put that K on the front. So what they're doing is they're taking this EYI and just turning it right here. They're just turning it into one vowel. Kisawimtin, that's the way or sawimtin in this case. Kisawimtin. Same word, it means the same thing. But in SRO, we keep the letters in there for a reason, because in some areas, in some communities, you will hear all of it. Kisawimitin. You will hear all of that. It's just, they call that Y a glide, because there's one, probably this has some meaning, and then the im has some, the I has some meaning, and then the M makes it sort of transitive. I don't want to get into the details. But actually, now that I think about it, I want to go over to Ben's site. Ben Godden. And let's look for that morpheme, Sawe, and see if there's anything else in there. just drop it in there and have a look and see what comes up. So let's see. No, that's Gisoe Sud has 3 sides. That's probably not it. Sueta is blessed. Suetagosu, that one is blessed. I wonder if I can make this bigger so you can see it. I know that's probably hard to read. Just trying to look for words that have a very similar Suetoak. So there's Suem Gosu, blessed by the Creator. I don't really see everything else with that Saue has to do with 3 sides, so I don't know that that's quite the same. Anyway, it was worth a try. So anyway, then we're just comparing this Northern Michif to Nihioi tonight for a bit, because I got the cards and I think they're cool. Thanks for the likes. I'm just checking back to make sure I didn't miss any comments. I apologize, these cards are hard to see. It's not very bright in my office here. I wonder if I can pull that up a little bit. If I make that brighter like that, does that help a little bit? A little bit. Okay, so if we say, move on to the next one. Kitagakim, then same thing here. There's that long I they're using here. This comes from Tagakim male. And actually, it's probably even a little bit more male. Again, they're kind of skipping that EYI, which is fine. I'll come back and make an argument for standard spelling later. You are special. The way I would interpret this is, or what that means to me just based on the word, is like, I think highly of you, or I think, yeah, I think highly of you, or I think well of you, I guess. I consider you nice. I think highly of you. That's how I think of that word. Gemia sin. Gemia sin. This one, I don't know why they put a long O there, because for me, I don't know if you'd say Gemiu sin. Gemiu sin, and maybe you will say it that somewhere. But this, for me, it comes from Miasu. Miasu. Gemia sin, you are beautiful. Or handsome. Gemia sin, you're handsome. Nimia sin. You can say these out loud, too. If you're following along, say them out loud, because it doesn't matter if you're speaking Northern Michif or Nihioi. When I was at that conference at Métis Crossing this week, Kanihiuian manaya how would I say that? In Stotaagoyan, I was understood, and even a lot of those elders there that spoke Michif, the language is the same, that Northern Michif. Nimia sin, I am beautiful. Nimia sin. Kiteni sin. Or kiteni sin. How would I say this? Yinisu. Is it Yinisu or Yinisu? Let's look it up. Yinisu. Oh, it is long I. Yinisu. Kiteni sin. Again, oh, okay, yeah, so they're putting an apostrophe where I would put that I. Geteni sin, you are smart. Motzigisin. I didn't actually know this is a word. Motzigan is like fun, motzig, but can you say motzigisu? Yeah, you can. I didn't even know that. Motzigisu. But I guess according to this, it'd be more like you are amused or happy, I guess. So I wonder if that meaning is shifted just a little bit. Could be. Kagi again. Could be. Okay, let's see if we can do this one here. Gisquiats. Kigisquiatsin. Gisquiatsu. See if we can find that one. Gisquiatisu. Gisquiatsu. Yeah, I was just thinking, the way I learned this word, I think the only way I've ever heard this word in context is to, like, if somebody's calling somebody crazy. but I'm only just barely recognizing the word. Gisque is like, gisque would like, let me just grab that first little bit, because there's other words I'm pretty sure. Let's go back here to the beginning. Gisque. Gagisque heo is like to make somebody crazy. Gisque heo. Gisque hueo, drive people crazy. Where's the word I'm looking for? Gisque meo. Gisque heo. No, but that's not the one I'm looking for. Gisquepeo, I think that might be the word. To be drunk, right? But all of these are like, have to do with being like kind of out of your mind or something. Anyway. But I guess that makes sense if you're just like, you know, gisqueats, and it's an interesting word. And that at part right there is sort of the same at as in like bimatsu, like the way kind of like, I don't know, I wonder how you would define that. Even that part, we can go back and look that up too. Yeah, let's just grab that. Let's say that the word atise. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Start over. There we go. So you can see like ayapatsu, cannot sit still. Ayatsu, balanced. Itatsu, to be of such character. Gagepatsu, to be foolish. Ganatsu, to be clean. So it's kind of like the disposition of somebody. Gisewatsu, same as in that. Gisewatsu, that one is kind, right? So that at in there, at to say, like sort of the character of the person, I guess. Holy, there's a long one here. Nimiatin, kapetatan, kapiksquin. Again, this is I think it's mostly the same. Nimiatin. I'm gonna have to go find this because I would say nimiatin, but nimiatin. I'll go see if I can find miatum. I wonder if you can say that. Yep, there it is. I like the sound of something. Okay, so this is a new word for me. I didn't even know that. I maybe heard that before. Nimiatin. Kapitatan. So again, we'd spell that a tiny bit different. But you could say pitatan, I guess. Up north, it's going to sound a little bit more like that. This comes from pitam. But again, up north, it probably sounds more like pitam. Those long E sounds in northern Y sound a little bit more like a long I sound. Kapigsqueen. Kapigs, and same as this one here. So we would say kapigsqueen, but up north it'll sound more like that. Kapigsqueen, which makes sense to me. Oh, miasin, the way you carry yourself, that makes sense. That makes sense, Eogo. Hi. That's that at part you're talking about, Neil? Yep, miasananma. So that was, I love hearing you speak. Nimiatin. I didn't know that word, nimiatin. So that's a good one. To like the sound of something. Miatam. We're going to get into, the other thing I wanted to do tonight was get into, we'll take and break these down a little bit. So we're going to tie into some of this. So the way I say this for me and you and then someone else, you say it a little bit differently. We call this, this is conjugation. So if I say, I like the sound of it, I say, nimiatin. And if you like the sound of it, gimiatin, that's you. Miatam, that's someone else. So on and so forth. So we'll get into some of this in a little bit. Where did I get my cards? I got these at there was a gathering this week. At the, what was it? This is it here. So I was at Métis Crossing for this language and storytelling gathering that was put on by the MNC at Métis Crossing. It's up by Smoky Lake there. And they were just handing out these cards, but they made them. I don't even think they sell them. They just made them. So when I put them on TikTok, they're in this little box. I got a couple sets. I got a couple extra sets to give away. They're in this little red rose box. It's just the coolest thing. And they're like, yeah, we made them. So they put them in 3 different dialects. So I've got the northern Michif dialect here, which is the most like Plains Cree, but then there's 2 other dialects. There's southern Michif, the southern Michif ones here, and then there's the French Michif ones in the back. So there's 3 different dialects, and there's little red rose cards. They're just so cool. So they don't even sell them. When I ask them, they're like, yeah, we made them. I'm like, oh, I put them on TikTok. People are asking me where they can get them. And they're like, oh, okay, I think maybe they'll make more. I don't know. But they're kind of cool. Like just they're affirmation cards, eh? And then they handed them out and they had us record like a story. So the one that I got was this one here. You make your ancestors proud. That's interesting the way that they say that. Because I would say, I think, and what that Anna, but that might be a Michif thing. Anyway, so this is the card that I got, so I had to talk about that for a minute. But anyway, so I will ask if I can get more. I will ask. I've got a couple sets here I can give away, but I'll see if I can find out from them if they're gonna do more, because they're pretty cool. So namiatin gapetatan gapigsquin. So that's that one. Genita nagamun. I would say the way I hear this, a little further south would be Genita nigamun, but I've heard it this way too. Nagamo for sing. Yeah, you sing well. That's that one. Kio niga neo. You are a leader. Kio niga neo. Yeah, there's another good one. Yeah, say these out loud too. I'm going to pronounce this the way that I would hear this. Kamamitsa hawak. Kawakamakanok. Kamamitsa hawak. Kawakamakanok. Oh, this one looks tough. Nemamitsin. Apitogo saniwian. This one's interesting. Mamitsa sin. I didn't know you could say that. So let's look that up. Mami Mamitsu. So just to be proud. That makes sense. Mamitsu. Mamitsin. Yapitogo saniwian. I would say this probably with a long I, like Pitogo san. I guess you could say it this way. That would still make sense. Pitogo san niyuyan. That's the way I'd probably say that. Pitogo sanu. Because to be if you took Pitogo san and you put u on the end, then that would be to be that. Pitogo sanu. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Nisagi naski ga apmati higoyan. Nisagi naski, I love the earth. Ga apmati higoyan. So I'm connected to Pamati higoyan. Pamati ho is like, I don't know, the way I learned that word, Pamati ho, is like to make a living, I guess, or like, yeah, Pamati ho, to live, to make a living. So I like this interpretation of this word. I love the earth I'm connected to. Gapmati higoyan. To me that says like the earth that I derive life from, or the earth that gives us life, I guess, is the way I sort of interpret that. Yeah, it gives me livelihood. That's a good way to say that. Yeah, that one. Oh, my website's called Keanu. It's right here. Oh yeah, Keanu.net. That one there. Hopefully you can see that. I need a better Keanu.net. Can you see that? There. That's not too bad. Grab a screenshot. That's where my that's my site there. Keanu.net. Yeah. But this site here, this is called Etoeona. This is from the U of A. Etoeona. If you just search for, probably if you just search for Plains Cree Dictionary, it'll come up. Because it's kind of the new one. Plains Cree Dictionary. Yeah, and it comes up right at the top there. Etoeona. Etoeona Plains Cree Dictionary. Alright, let's see how many more. Now we're back to the beginning. Kimami Tsehin, I am proud of you. So those are kind of cool. I'll reach out to MNC and find out. Should we try and do some of the other ones? Just butcher some Michif. I know there's pronunciation guides down here, but these Michif sound. I'm not very practiced like Southern Michif, like this one here. Nishagi tan lagros ter ka. What is that word even? Shagamoya yan. Shagamoya yan. I don't even know. Like it's. I don't even know what that word is. Nimetin Michifuyan. That's cool. Kimiu toto awak. Ti parenti kwayash. That's interesting. This is an interesting word though. Mio toto awak. Gamio. What would that be? Mio toto awak. Very similar to Cree anyway. What's this one? You are a leader. An Niganish Kia Anbun Shantar Kia. Yeah, super interesting. Okay, put those away. Check my comments. I think we're good, eh? Okay. I gotta find my elastic band. I just lost it. Oh, it's on my finger. And then I thought we would get into some conjugation tonight. Just for fun. If you're following along with some of the Keanu stuff, we just started active development with our team this week on both the transcribe project and the mobile app. And so I'll be pushing out some updates here right away because I'm super excited. Oh, hey, check this out. I found these. Got any Métis folks in the crowd tonight. Check this out. I found these a while ago. Those are really hard to see. Red River dollar. I got these off a coin. Somebody had a bunch of coins. These are from 1976. And they're like these 4 coins, I guess. Red River dollar. Fun stuff. Okay, let's do some conjugation. So, this is going to be grammar. If you're not into grammar, feel free to bounce. We're going to go through this chart down here, this one in the corner. Actually, you know what? Change my mind. Let's do this one. We're going to go through this chart, the VTI chart tonight, because everything else you go through, they're always going through the VAI. So I'm going to leave this to other folks to go through. Tonight, I'm going to go through the VTI chart because it's still nice and short. There's only 16. There's like 8 in the independent, and then there's 8 in the conjunct. And then once you know these conjunct, these ones over here, the future infinitive they call those, they're not too hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to find some words that fit into this chart, and then we're going to practice going through it. So how this works is, if you're not familiar with conjugation, or sorry, the verb types is where I wanted to start. There are 4 types of verbs in Nehioiwin, and you can think of it this way. There's a verb that involves 0 people. Let me make that a little bit bigger. I don't know. There's a verb that involves 0 people. There's a verb that involves 1 person. There's a verb that involves 1 person and something. And then there's a verb that involves 2 people. 1 person, I'll say. 0. And then 2 people. And another way you can think of this is and I'll put the things in here. So they call this a VII, but just think of it as like who's involved. This one is a VAI. I'll come back and explain these in a minute. VTI is this one. And then this one they call it VTA. And all that means is that in this one here at the top, there's nobody involved. There's nobody involved. This is usually like a term, like maybe a weather term, or like, you know, that word miasin. So this is actually this type of verb. Miasin means it is good. It is good. Miasin. Another one might be like wapan, like maybe the dawn or the coming light in the morning. Wapan, you can say that. That's another one. It's like nobody involved. There's just like it's just like, it's almost like no, it's not even an adjective. Or something, yeah, the color words too, like askitagwan. That's another good one. So these are examples. I'll write these out like this. Miwasin, it is good. It's an example. And then this one is like, I could say it is dawn, I guess. And then skitagwan, it is green. Skitagwan. So then we have another type. So when you think about this one that just involves 1 person, this is your words that you learn, like atoskeo. That one works. Or nigamo. That one sings, signs, sings. Or maybe, what's another one, like mitsu. That one eats. Okay. So these ones involve nobody. These ones involve 1 person. The ones we're going to do tonight are 1 person and something. So these would be like, and it gets tricky because there's actually a couple types of these. We'll just focus on the main ones. We'll focus on the ones that end in So this is going to be like, let's pick an easy one. Gisketam. Okay, so this means like that one knows something. Okay, slide that over a tiny bit. That one knows something. Or another example would be like miwetam. Okay, that one likes something. Right? So this is the one that we're going to focus on tonight. These kind of VTIs or whatever. Highlight color. Yeah, there we go. And if you want to follow along on this chart, you can go to Google and look for Cree Literacy Network decoder ring. That's what I Google for every time. Cree Literacy Network decoder ring. And then it comes up at the top. Summary paradigm tables, the decoder ring of Cree. And you go in there, and then down here, there's one here for Y dialect. And then there's one down here for TH dialect. These are by Ben Godden. Again, if this doesn't help you, skip it. But if it does, we'll go through a little bit tonight. And so this is the whole chart here. And we're going to zoom into this yellow part right down in the bottom, in the middle, because that's the VTI. So there's actually 4 different sets of paradigms. There's the first one we talked about is over here on the left. And then the second one we talked about involving one person, that's right here. The third one involving a person and something, that's here. And then the last one involving 2 people, that's all this up at the top. We'll get back into that another time. For tonight, we're just going to focus on this one. So how you know you've got the right one is if you find a word like, let's pick one of those words like gesketam. So this ends in right? That's sort of how you, when you look a word up in the, like, say you're trying to find a word in the dictionary, you want to say, how do I say smells? That person smells something. So they're going to tell you the type of the verb right there on the site, but you can also kind of cheat because it's got this on the end right here. And that's kind of how you tell. It's the third person form, meaning that one. So I'm the first person, me. I'm talking to you. You're the second person. The third person is like that other person, somebody we're talking about. So usually, because there's so many different ways to say this word, there's actually more than this. There's all these different ways to say this. Then what they do is they use the third person form for the dictionary. Paswatam for this one. That person smells something. Paswatam. But that part right there, if we take that okay, that's this right here on this chart. Okay. And so everything else goes where this line is. And everything else goes where that line is in all of these. So we can take the rest of that and put it in any of these. So we're going to do that right now. So let's get back to our document. And let me okay, so our word was Boswatam. That one smells something. So I'm going to highlight that part in yellow because that's the part that we see right there, that yellow one right there, okay? And now we're going to write these out. So we'll start ni at the front, and ain on the end. I wonder if I can just borrow these right out of there. Probably, eh? Oop, that ended up really small. We'll just write it out. Ni. Then we got part in the middle, and then we got ain. Now this is one of those things that happens in the language. Is it's kind of like a rule. I guess you could think of it like a rule. I lost my font size there, and I don't want that right now. That. So just for me and you, and it's just the way it is. Like it's just the way it is for me and you. That A is going to turn into an E. That's just the way it is. And you kind of get used to it. It's like a rule, you could think of it that way, but it's just kind of the way it is. So then for you, that's going to be ge. I'm just going to write them out and then we'll fill them in. We'll write them out first and then we'll fill in the blanks. So then this one's going to be What did he have next? Oh, okay, it goes into those. Okay. So then these ones, a nan. And the next one he did 2-1, a no. And then, not that, a now wow. And I'll show you a little trick to remember these. Because if you know your pronouns, okay, so this one is kind of like nia. So you get the ni, okay. And then this one is like kia, that's you, so you get ki. This one you just gotta kind of remember. This is that other person. Why? We. But then this one is nianan, us but not you. And you can kind of see it in there, like the ni and the nan is in there, right? Nianan, that's us but not you. They call that the plural exclusive. The plural exclusive, and sometimes you see it written like this, one plural. The plural exclusive, us but not you. That's what that means. Because there's a way to say that. Ganehuyan, when you speak the language, you can say, like, if you're speaking English and you say, oh, we're going to the store. If it was your mom came in and said, we're going to the store. Does she mean that you're going with them? Like, it's like, am I going with you or just you guys are going to the store? Right? We have to differentiate between those two concepts in English, but in Nihiyuan there's a way to say that in the language. If I say Nianan, we're going to the store, that means us but not you. But if I say Kia no, all of us were going to the store, that means you're coming with us. Kia no. So you can kind of see this one in there too. Kia no, it's right there. Kia no. All of us. And then this now wow, you hear this one a lot. This is kia wow. All y'all. All of y'all. Kia wow. You plural. Just make sure I didn't miss any comments. I think we're good. Okay. All right, so okay, so hopefully that's clear. I'm actually going to get rid of this extra. Well, no, we'll just maybe change the color so it's not so bright. I'm trying to make this not so confusing. So if there's any part of this is confusing, let me know, and I will start making changes because I want this to be clear. And by the way, if you're learning Northern Michif, this would be the same. This would all be just applicable as well to Northern Michif because the grammar is going to largely be the same. Okay, so there's that one, and then there's the plural and the oviative. So then there's this one. Wuk. I wonder why I did that. Making my font 25 and this one's 20. There we go. And I'll come back to that in a second. And then there's amiu. When I first started learning the language, I would hear, oh no, wow. Let me just change that. Wow, all of them. And then this one, I don't know that there's necessarily a pronoun for these. Those other ones. That or those other. That other one or those other ones is that last one. You. So we'll come back to C asks, how do you pronounce that you? So I'll just skip right to that one here. So if I grab that paswatam, so this at the end is going to be the same as this right here. So just as an example of that one, change my font color back. Oh no, I'll just write it in here. Paswatamiwa. That's why I would say that. So we skip right to the end. Start on the hard one first. So this IY, Ganehuyan, when you speak the Cree language, that IY is going to make an E sound. That's just how it is. Like Niya. So that's going to say Paswatamiwa. That IW, W is, you could think of it as a consonant, but it's more like it's technically a rounding of the lips. So you kind of don't pronounce that I very much. Like you do, but you don't. So this to me sounds like ooh, because it's just that, I think of W as like a strong vowel, like it just kind of wins over the sound of the I, but it's really just the rounding of the lips. It exists to differentiate between this sound and the on the end. Excuse me, I hope that helps. Paswatamiwa. And so one of the things that happens is also the stress is going to be important. So there's wa, yi, y, mi. So that stress is going to be here. Paswatamiwa. Paswatamiwa. So that's where you're going to stress that. It's not going to be paswatamiwa or paswatamiwa. It's paswatamiwa. There's like almost like a, what do they call that this week? They say like, they don't call it, when I was sitting with the linguist, Ruth at the M&A, and she didn't call it a stress, she called it a, oh, I can't think of the word now. A pitch, not pitch emphasis, but something like that. They called it something else, but more often than not, there's a little raise in pitch there. Paswatamiwa, paswatamiwa. If you think about that, I'm saying, think about the tone of my voice, and then right? The pitch of my voice, paswatamiwa, right? That's where that stress is there. If that makes sense. This little gray line I'm putting down here is, if you think about that, is like the pitch of my voice. Paswatamiwa. That's kind of how the stress works. Okay, so we skipped right to the end. Let's go back to the beginning and fill some of these in. So we're working on this word here. Paswatam, that one smells something. Because we're working on those words that mean, those words that are like one person, those VTIs, one person plus something. There's an interaction between one person and something. So this example, paswatam, that one smells something. So this is that person smells something. It's like an interaction, if you want to think of it that way. Okay, so what we can do is, this part here, this part underlined here, so we've identified this is the same as that below, right? If we look back at this chart, that yellow one, that's the dictionary term, and the part that fits in here, the part that fits right in there where that yellow line is, or where that black line is, fits in all of these where that line is. So if we go back to our, then we can take all of this and put it anywhere in here. So let's do that right now. For me and you, and I'll just take, is it more helpful to leave the underline in or to take it out? I don't know. I can leave it in if it's fine. If it's confusing, I can take it out so you can just see the word the way it is. Let me know which way you prefer and I'll adjust it. Is it helpful? Okay, Ray says it's helpful, so I'll just leave it in there. So you wouldn't say, and this one here, because this ends in a T, you could technically adjust this to say paswas. You're saying smell it. Paswas. You wouldn't say paswat. You'd say paswas. Smell it. Right? It's like a command. Shut my underline off. I've never heard anyone say this, but you could. Paswas. Smell it. That's the same with these other ones too. Like if you take, again, I'm cheating. We'll go back to the VAI here for a second. That W on the end, if you go back to the chart and we go over to the VAI, right? There's that W right there. Whoops. Oh, I lost my thing. I have a little thing that lets me write on the screen, but it's not working. Well, that's annoying. Anyway, this one right here. You see that one there. So if we go back, that's that same W there. So this part here is the part you can put in there. And if you say just that part, atoske, you're saying work. That's the command part, right? So this one could be the same, except that because there's a T there. No, you wouldn't say paswas. You'd say, that would be, forget I said all of that. You'd say paswata. Sorry, I'm thinking VTA. You'd say paswata. Smell it. Yeah, you'd say paswas if you were talking about a person. Paswata. Smell it. Yeah. So you take the M off, you get the command version. Oh, my brain just had a blank there for a minute. All right, so if we go back, we take this part again. And we go down here and we put it in this one. So that's me and you. Ne pas watin. And again, if we look at the stress, again, the stress will usually be, if it was just, you said paswas, you'd be talking about one person. Because I think you can say, let's look it up. Paswateo. Paswateo would be to smell. Nope. Prove me wrong. Let's go smells. Might be a different word. Paswatam. Oh, it's paso. Sorry, it's a totally different verb. So just ignore I said that. Sometimes they're the same. Oh, and sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different. So paso, to smell something. Pasweo is the VTA, it looks like, to smell someone. So how would you say that as a command? Let's go look. I don't use this word, so I don't know it very well. But lots of times the VTI and the VTA are very similar. So if you just want to say to smell someone as a command, you'd say pas. And if you want to say smell them, you'd say pasok. So sorry, that was confusing. Because in some words, like, let me back up a little bit here. Like this one here, the difference between to know something and know someone is kiske meo. Kiske meo. So that H turns into an M, and then you end up A. That's your directional marker, and then that tells you who's doing it. So this part's the same for both of those, and I made the mistake thinking with this one too, but it's not. It's a different verb. Sort of like mitso and sort of like the verb to just eat in general. This one, mitso. Mitso. But if you say to eat something, it's mitse or mitsu. That one eats something. But we'll come back to that. Sorry, we're getting way off track. Let's get back to where we were. We're just talking about the transitive, the verbs that have one person involving something, the verbs. We'll come back to those other ones because it's... Maria says, I have a beginner's question. Go ahead. If you have questions, just drop them in the chat. I will get to them eventually. I forget to check my comments every once in a while. Yep. Drop it in the chat. I will come back to it. Okay. So that's me. Nepaswatin. I smell it. Kipaswatin. That's you. You smell it. Kya. Kipaswatin. And again, we'll go back a little bit. We'll drop the final. If we look at the stress, we got 1, 2. So pas, this is going to be the stress is going to be right there. Generally speaking, it's the third last. It's always the third last in the way you say it, but it's not always the third last in the way you spell it. And the reason that is because vowel sounds can disappear sometimes if it's a really long word. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute. But in this case, I would say, Nipaswatain, I smell it. Kipaswatain, you smell it. But then, if I take, I gotta undo that. If I take this part and I put it in that other person, it changes again because there's paswatam. So it's going to be here now, technically the same spot, paswatam. All right, just check the comments. I don't see any questions yet, so we'll just keep going. Paswatam. That one smells something. And you're probably being specific. If you just smell stuff in general, it's probably a different word. I don't know it. We can look it up in a minute, but we'll just keep going on this. So now we can say us but not you. We smelled something but not you. Nipaswatenan. Now notice how nipaswatein, all of this word up here, nipaswatein, is in this other word, but there's an extra syllable on the end. That an is on the end now. So then the stress is going to shift. So the stress was here, nipaswatein. Now the stress is going to be on wa. Nipaswatenan. Nipaswatenan. We smell it, but not you. All of us. We all smell it, but not you. Nipaswate nan. Nipaswate nan. Make sure you're saying these along. Nipaswate nan. Don't try to read it. Just say it the way you hear it. Just say it exactly the way you hear it. Nipaswate nan. Okay, because then you'll get the stress and everything just right. Okay. And if you want me to repeat any of these, just put them in the chat. I can do that too. Okay, so the next one, this one's Kiano. This is all of us. That's the name of my project, by the way. Kiano. This one, Kipaswate no. Just say it out loud. Don't even think about it. Don't try to read it. Just say it. Kipaswate no. So the stress is going to be in the same spot. Kipaswate no. Right there. Okay. That's all of us. All of us smell it. We all smell something. We're all looking around, kind of holding our noses because we all smell something. What is it that we're smelling? All right, then we'll take that again. Now that stress is going to shift on this one again. It's going to shift to here. Okay? Because the stress is usually on the third last, usually, the way you say it, it's on the third last syllable. On the way that you say it. So this one we got here, wa. This one. Oh, and I actually shouldn't be that. It should be this. D. So we'll drop the final. Drop the final. Here's one syllable. Wa. Na. D. So the stress is there. Kipaswate na wa. Kipaswate na wa. Kipaswate na wa. Just say it out loud. Kipaswate na wa. This is all of y'all smell it. Something specific. Kipaswate na wa. All of y'all. Okay, now this one's the same as this one. That one person. Paswatam. That's one person. Them, that person smells it. But now this one, paswatamwak, they smell it. So again, that stress. I'm making this part bold because that's where the stress is, hey? The way I hear it. Because it moves a little bit depending on how many syllables are on the end of the word. And that's one of the most challenging things as a learner to learn Nihiuan is to get the stress right. Even if your pronunciation, like the way you pronounce the syllables, like the sounds of the words is a little bit off, if your stress is correct, if you say the stress in the right place, you're still more likely to be understood. Nikki says, it helps to know where the stress is. Ray asks, I lost emotions. Manantonia, kimaga, kinamaga. And dialect. Hey. Okay. Muchas, Niggy. Have a good night. Ray asks, what is the purpose of the stress? Is it to differentiate from similar words? I guess maybe you could think of it that way, but it's just the way you say it. It's just like if you think about this word in English, right? Laboratory. Do you say laboratory or laboratory? So if I say laboratory, I'll just say it the way I say it. Don't spell correct me, you silly thing. This is spelled wrong. That's why that little red line is there or whatever. But this is the way I say it, laboratory, right? So then I would put the stress here, laboratory. That's just the way I say it, laboratory. You don't say laboratory or laboratory, you say laboratory. But some people say laboratory, which is like maybe the proper way to say it. In either way, it's the fourth last syllable that I'm putting the stress on that word. Laboratory, that's 4. Or laboratory, that's 4. It's the fourth last. I don't know why we say it that way. It's just the way we say it. That's just stress is just like, it makes the word, I want to say stress makes the word recognizable, I guess. Because if you get the stress wrong, you won't recognize the word. Right? Like, and that's one of the I think the biggest challengers as a learner, if you've got the stress wrong, even if you're pronouncing the sounds of the letters, the sounds of the language correctly, but the stress is off, it's much harder to understand you. But if you have the stress correct, even if you're getting some of the sounds of the letters wrong, you're more likely to be understood. And I don't know why, like, I don't know why that is. It's a really interesting question. Like, why is stress so important in the way that we say things? Yeah, I'll think of an example too where the stress makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference when we're transcribing, right? Like here's a poor example. Here's a poor example. So, I gotta do my puzzle. Chisqua. Two objects that are the same shape. That's so silly, the whole puzzle thing. Okay. So you know this word, right? People spell it dance. People spell it like this. Dance. Okay. This is the way we see this word spelled this way all the time. So people spell it like this, or sometimes they spell it like this. Okay. The way an SRO always spell this word is like this. Danese. Now, you know why we spell it like that in SRO? Because if we spelled it this way, there's technically only 2 syllables here, I guess you could say. This one has dan. I'm actually going to do it this way. Just like where that is there. There's actually, sorry. There. So this has 3 syllables, this has 2 syllables, and this has 2 syllables. If we spelled it this way, according to the, I'll say the rules, I guess, of SRO, generally speaking, the stress is on the 3rd last syllable in the Huey one. So that's where you see these stress markers up here. So we go 1, 2, 3. Okay. So Paswatamiua. That's why I have that bolded there. Paswatamiua. Okay. If this was a 2-syllable word, we'd say danse, because 2-syllable words in Ganihue, they will have the stress on the last one. So if you say pe, you put the stress on the pe, right? If you say astam, you put the stress on that last part, astam. Whenever they're 2-syllable words, what's another good one? Another was, right? There's another one. Was. The stress is on the last part. But if there's more than 2 syllables, there will typically be stress on the 3rd last. So that's why we say danse, danse. So we kind of know there's 3 syllables there because we don't say danse, danse. We don't say it that way. We say danse, danse. The stress is on the first one. And that gives us a hint that there's actually 3 syllables there. Hope that makes sense. And if you said it weird, danse, you could say it that way. And I guess you'd be understood. But if you take some other words, I'll think of a good example of something where if you move the stress to the wrong spot. Oh, there's this word here. Okay. Let's pick on this word. Atim. Now there's another good one. Atim. We don't say atim. We say atim. That stresses on the, technically the M is a final, so it's there. Atim. It's another good one. So here's an example we'll talk about, since we're talking about stress again. We all know this word, eh? Nihio. So if you look at this, you break off the final. This is what the, actually let me do it this way. Is that text big enough for everyone? Do I need to make that bigger? Is that okay to read on your phones? I can't tell because, I mean, it looks okay on mine, but let me know if it needs to be bigger. So that W on the end, I call it, that's the final. So this breaks down just like this. So the W is the final, so we ignore it, and then we got 1, 2, 3. By the way, if you did this in syllabics, it would be exactly the same. So if we take this word, okay, this is how when we know, when I mean final, so we'll drop that in there, right? And the syllabics look like this, okay, so we'll drop them back in our, okay, so there's 1, 2, actually the H is a part of that one. So there's 3, there's 1, 2, 3, and then the final. Okay, so that's what I mean by final. This W is that one right there. So when we say this word, if we ignore the final, we go back 1, 2, 3. So the stress is here. Nehio. That's that word. That's like a Cree person. Nehio, a Nehio person. Nehio. Okay. I use this example all the time. But if we say, there's two things you can say here. You can say to speak the Cree language, or that one speaks the Cree language. We'll use that example. We say nehio. So I'll put this one down here. So whoops. So they're side by side. Okay. Nehio. So that stress moves over 1. Okay. It moves over 1. Nehio. Nehio. Make sure you're saying these out loud. Nehio. Don't read it, just say it exactly the way you hear it. Nehio. So now if we add one more syllable on the end, okay, nehio. Now the mistake I hear learners say when they pronounce this word all the time is they try to pronounce this word like they're pronouncing this word. They're putting the stress in the same place. So when you're asking about the importance of stress, the stress, I think there was a really great question on my live. Somebody just asked, like, why is what does the stress do? Is it there to, the question was like, does the stress, hold on, let me go back. I go back in the comments. Is the purpose of the stress to differentiate from similar words? My wife's a language learner too, so I'm just asking her at the same time.
It's mostly pronunciation.
It's so that the word is recognized, right? Yeah. So just so.
Well, in English you have record and record. Like there's.
Yeah, I guess they.
Differences in meaning.
Record, because if you record, yeah, no, that makes sense. Because if you say record, it's a thing. But if you say record, that's like an action. It's like a verb, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And nehio, and so this one here, this example, if you look at this word nehio, this word, so this one means like I'll say a Cree person, forgive me, a Cree person or like a nehio person. This one is that one. That one speaks the Cree language. This one is the Cree language. Okay. Specifically why dialect we're talking about here, but anyway, so this one here, nehio, when I hear learners pronounce this word the same as they're pronouncing this one. So they won't say nehio, they'll say nehio, because they're still pronouncing the stress like they hear it on this one. Okay. But if you say nehio, that I know what you're saying, but this is one of those examples. If you said nehio, I know what you're saying, but there are words, if you get the stress in the wrong place, it'll make it confusing to understand what you're trying to say. So that's why the stress is important, especially when you chain together long phrases and stuff. Like, I'll try and find an example in a story or something. Because sometimes when you have especially a bunch of particles together, I was thinking about this the other day. When you have a bunch of particles together in a story, they smush together and they read like one word, and the stress goes in a very specific spot. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'll find an example to share with you. But for the time being, I'll just suffice it to say that if you're a learner and you're struggling with this, just focus on where you hear the stress and make sure you're listening to fluent speakers and the way that they pronounce it. Because that's, if you try to pronounce things the way that a fluent speaker pronounces it, then you have the best chance of being understood correctly. So the way you would say this, nehio, then pay attention. This moves over now. Nehio. Okay. Make sure you're saying these out loud. Don't read it. Just say it. Just say it exactly the way you hear it. Nehio. Nehio. Nehioewin. You hear that little change? I'll show it here too. So if I go, that pitch in my voice sounds like this. Nehio. Okay? Then on this one, it sounds like this. Nope, it's auto-correcting me. Okay, now this one, listen to the pitch change. Nehio. Okay, you hear that? Now this one, a little pitch change. Nehioewin. That pitch changes, it moves over a little bit. The stress, that's exactly right. BG says it's like the stress moves further along the longer the word is. That is exactly right. Ray asks, hippopotamus, never knew how to pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce that one. I don't know how to pronounce it. I see AI is trying to write out, I don't know what it's trying to write out. It doesn't make any sense. It's trying to make sense of, it's just making a mess out of the Nehioewin. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so I just put those in there. So this is like that little raise in pitch. In case you can't, if you pay attention to my voice, the way you hear this, there's a little shift, a little pitch change in the way I say that. So let's keep going, because it gets even longer. We'll make this word even longer. Okay, so we got nehio, nehioeo, nehioewin, and then we'll do one more here. We'll add one more onto the end. We'll undo that one. Nehioewini. We put that locative, they call this a locative. That bit on the end there, that means in, at, or on. So in this case, we're saying in the Cree language. Okay, that's what we're saying here. Nehioewini. And now that stress is shifted again. Now it's here. Okay, you hear that? Nehioeo. No, yeah, nehio, nehioeo, nehioewin, nehioewini. Nehioewini. We put that stress over one more. You can see it's shifting over as we add one syllable on the end every time. Okay, we started with conjugation and we got over into stress. That's okay. So does that make sense? I think it was, was it Ray that asked that question? Who asked that question? Yeah, Ray that asked, what's the purpose of stress? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's helpful. It's like, it makes it so that the words are understood for what they are. Hey, yeah, let me get caught up on my comments. Gisik Whiskey Jack, you're a good teacher. Aye, hi. Nina, we need more Nehioewin resources for K to 12. Tapwe. I'm going to skip over hippopotamus because I don't know how to say it. I've actually heard a few different ways. Phase waves. Hi, I'm joining in. Miasin, pitagwe. Okay. Yes, very helpful. Yes, it does. Thanks, Stan. Miasin nanma. It helps to see where the stress is. Nikki's still here, just can't get away, hey? I thought you had to go. It's okay, stick around. Okay, miyasen. Okay, let's keep going. So we started out talking about this chart here, right? This scary chart. It's actually, once you know how to use this chart, it's not that bad. It's not that scary. Just there's a lot on it, right? So this chart, again, you can find this on Cree Literacy Network. If you Google on Cree Literacy Network Decoder Ring, you'll come up with the summary paradigm tables. Or you can just search summary paradigm tables. Decoder Ring of Cree. It should come up somewhere in there. And if you go into that, and then you scroll down, it's right there for Y dialect. And there's another one in TH dialect. You can download the PDF. So that's what we're working off of. And then again, it's got, I'm going to try and fix my... I got this program called ScreenBrush. It was working a minute ago. And if I put it in show the toolbar, and I can put it in ghost mode, and then it'll let me draw on the screen, just like that. Yeah, because I like drawing on the screen. So there's four sections on here. Yeah, there's the the 4 verb types. So there's the VAIs that involve one person. There's the VIIs over here in the bottom left. Those are the ones that involve nobody. They're just sort of like things. Then the VTIs, these are the ones we're working on today. That involves one person and one thing. And later down the road, we'll do some of these VTAs, the big one up at the top. If you're a gispin kia, giskanamagosi and nehioiwen, if you're learning or teaching yourself the Cree language, you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to learn the grammar, but you will learn this eventually, regardless. If you note nehioe, and if you want to speak the Cree language, you will eventually learn all of these. And so again, you don't have to do this, but if this interests you, I will talk about it more, because I carried this around in my back pocket for like 3 years, trying to learn this part here, all these VTA stuff at the top. Ray says, is this table available to the public? Yes, go to that website. Can I pin that site? I don't know how to do that, but I'll pull it up. If you Google, let's do it on Google together right now. We'll just do it right here. We'll just go to Google. I'm going to search for Cree Literacy Decoder Ring. That's what I'm searching for. Cree Literacy Decoder Ring. Take a screenshot if you need to right now. It's right at the top here, the summary paradigm tables. This is the one right here. This is the page you're looking for. So just, I'll keep it there for a second. Just take a screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you got it. If you didn't get it, let me know. So if you just Google that Cree Literacy Decoder Ring, you'll find it right there, and then you can get this chart. Okay, and it looks big and scary, but we're breaking it down one piece, one spot at a time, right? So we're in here in these, we're talking about VTIs because everybody else talks about VAIs, so I'm going to talk about VTIs. Racist, got it. Miasan, anma. So if we just real quick review, when you look at a verb, so let's pick another verb that ends in Does anybody know any verbs that end in Like a verb, an interaction with something like, oh, I got one. Masinaham. Masinaham. What does that mean, masinaham? Let's go back. So masinaham, that means that one writes something. Okay. Stum is not a verb. That's a good example. Stum, the way we say it, long A, stum, is like what they call a particle. It's a particle. It's like, I don't know how to explain that, but you can't conjugate it. Well, I mean, like technically you can say a stomach or a stumtic, but it's not a verb. It's not, you can say, like in the language, you can't say, oh, I stummed. We were a-stumming. They a-stummed the other day. Like you can't say that. So it's not technically a verb. A verb is like a word that will change depending on, it's an action word that will change depending on who you're talking about. So an example, the one I just thought of, masinaha. Masinaha means to write something. And so if I say that one, masinaham, that one writes something or writes something down. Masinaham. So there's an example. So let's take that back to our document. Okay, and we'll go through this one more time. Make some space here. So the word is masinaham. There's that at the end. Okay, that at the end. Now the reason I'm pointing that out is because when we look at the chart, this at the end is the same as this one right here. That's the third person, that person. So quick review. I'm the first person, Nia, that's me. You're the second person, I'm talking to you. You're the second person. Third person is the person we're talking about. Okay? So we're talking about Ray. Ray masinaham. Ray writes something down. Okay? Masinaham. So let's go back to our thing. So that's this one. That one, whoops. Writes something. I just use ST, something. Okay? So if we take this and we go, we want to give the command form to tell someone to write, masinaha. Write it down. That's what I'm saying to you. Masinaha. Write it down. Okay. So now let's borrow our paradigm again. We're going to go through this again. This is like review. So ne. Now for whatever reason, last time I filled in all of these, this time I'm not going to. I'm just going to do the paradigm. I'm just going to do the chart. Okay. But if you get stuck, or if you just showed up and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can just put a comment in. Oh, questions. And sorry if I missed your question, your comment. I have to, I got to come back and check my comments every once in a while. So I will get to them. So Phase Wave says, Ote, Astamo Ote. Okay, we're going to take a detour if that's okay. We'll just take a 2-minute detour. Ote means over here. Okay, so there's a bunch of words. Some are specific and some are general. So if I say Astamo Ote, Ote, I'm saying come over here. Right? Astam is the come part, and Ote means over here. It's kind of more general, over here. If I say stamota, uta, I'm being real specific. Come here, I mean like right here. Come here. Ute is like more in general. Uta, I'm being real specific. Come here. Come here. Stamota. And then those will be similar to if you have ute, uta, you can also have egote and egota. And these sort of are the same, but these ones are over there, like in general, like a general area. And this one is over there, but you're being specific, like right there. Egota, right there. So like ute, egote, more general. Uta, egota, more specific, if that makes sense. Okay, back to our paradigms. Any other questions, feel free to ask. Auntie says, astamota with a wooden spoon. Yeah. Say Mac. Astamota, say Mac. Come here right now. Perfect. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to get through this paradigm again. So that's me. And in this VTI, so again, we're in the VTI paradigm. That just means someone plus something. Okay? Someone plus something. VTI. That's all that means. Someone plus something. If you're curious, the V means a verb. It's like an action. The T means transitive. Like you can think about the transfer of the action onto the thing. And then the I just means that the thing that we're interacting with is what they call inanimate. It means uma. There are two types of like nouns in Ganihiwe. One is an awa, like atimawa, right? Atim is like a dog, like a living thing, or uma, so like a mukumanuma, like a knife, mukumanuma. So in this case, the someone plus something is the someone is awa, and the something is uma. So we're interacting with something. That's what they call inanimate. That's what that means. Verb, transitive, inanimate. And we're focused on, there's technically a couple of different types of VTIs. We're not going to get into the second one just yet. They're actually really easy. We're just going to focus on the ones that end in right now. Just introduce this new paradigm. Because lots of people work on the other one, but we're going to work on this one. So this one is that, and then that's our third person right there. We can actually make that. We'll make that yellow so it clicks. That's this one here, masinaham. And then what was this one again? This one was ni, and then enan, that's nianan. This one, and then no. And this one, now. Whoops. We have one of those shared fire alarms. Sorry, that's probably really loud. Ooh. So if the folks downstairs are burning something, we get the brunt of it. Okay. Now what am I missing here? Amwak, I think, is the next one, right? Amwak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, and then amiwa. There. So I'm not going to fill in the extra part this time. We're just going to put the word in, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so masinaha. So remember this one here. So if this part is that, then everything here, that underline, is this part here. So that means we can take this part here, and we can put it in any one of these spots where there's an underline. Same on this chart. Anywhere in these spots where there's an underline. No, it's back. Sorry about that. Broadcast our smoke alarm to the internet. So we'll take that one. So that means anything in this underline is all of this part here. So we'll grab that and we'll put it in here. So Nia, if I want to say I write it, Nimasinahin. Just say it out loud. Don't try to read it. Just say it exactly the same way you hear it. Nimasinahin. Kia, Kimasinahin. Wia, that one. Masinaham. Now the stress is going to shift, so we start to get into the tongue twister. This is why saying it out loud is important, because you're practicing those muscles. If you've never said these words before, you're building up what they call muscle memory. Nimasinahinan. Nimasinahinan. Kimasinahino. Kimasinahino. Kimasinahina. Wow. Just say it. Don't read it. Just say it the way you hear it. Just like a child. Just say it. Kimasinahina. Wow. Kimasinahina. Wow. Masinahimwak. Masinahimwak. Masinahmiwa. Masinahmiwa. Good. Miasin. Miasinanma. Catch up with my comments. Ray says, I'm learning so much in this pop-up masterclass. Miasin, Ray. Hope to see you next time. I'm trying to get back online on Sundays, Sunday nights. So we'll see you then. Make sure you follow. Make sure you click the follow button. Yeah, I know, the fire alarm. Sorry about that. It does happen. The neighbors might kick it off every once in a while. Matrix. This is Nihuiwin Plains Cree Y dialect. So if you're still sticking around, we're going to do conjunct next, because we're just practicing speaking. We're just going to practice the sounds of the language, and how to we'll just practice. So this one is so there's two different sets of these. So this is what they call the first person singular. That one, that's me. Then this is you. Kimasinahin. So Nia, just me. Nimasinahin, I write it. Kia, you, just you. Kimasinahin, you write it. This is that third person, just one person. Masinaham, that one writes it. Okay. This one they call the first person plural, exclusive, meaning like excluding. This is us but not you. Nimasinahinan. Nimasinahinan. Then this one, this is all of us. They call us the 2-1 plural sometimes. This just means all of us. This is Kiano, the Kiano version. Kimasinahino. Nikki, which one do you mean? Which sheet do you mean? Is it the chart, or which? Is it this one? Let me know. Just shoot me a message which one it is. I'll send it to you. I think I got your email somewhere. So this is the inclusive. This is all of us. Kiano. Oh, this Word doc? Yeah, I can send it out. I can send it out afterwards. Then this one. Oh, wow. This is the 2 plural. This is all of y'all. Kimasinahina. Wow. Y'all write it, or y'all wrote it. Then this one here, this is them, plural. Now it's not just one of them anymore, it's all of them. Not that. Yeah. All of them. Masinahamok. Masinahamok. But when you say it like fluently, Masinahamok. And then this one, this is, they call that the obviate. This one here. The obviate, which is like that other person. There's another third person. We talk about this lots. There's another third person. When you have two third persons, you're talking about in that third person. Sometimes they call it the fourth person, but in the resources they'll call it the obviate. It's like the other third person. Masanahamiwa. Masanahamiwa. Okay, let's do one more. But this time, we're going to do the conjunct. Okay, this was the independent mode. Now we're going to do, so we just focused on this column right here. This one right here, we just did this one. Now, we're going to focus on the middle column, the conjunct mode. This one here. Okay. The one in the middle. And we'll go through those right now. Okay, we'll use the same word though. Unless somebody comes up with another word, I'm just going to use the same word. I think it's Aman. Yeah, it is. Okay. This one's going to be, and I'll put the pronoun markers in there too. Make sure I got that. Yeah, doing this on the fly, so I'm like, and then this one's going to be that, and then this one's going to be that. This one is that, and then those ones, and then that one. What is this one? Eat. Yeah, it's like that, right? Sure is. Yep. Okay. Good. Racked my brain there for a minute to get through all of them. So we're going to do the same thing. I'll put the pronouns in here. So this is me. This is you. That's that person. This is that first person plural, us but not you. This is all of us. This is all of y'all. This one is all of them. S, not D. And this is that other person. So we're going to take that same one. We go all the way back up and we look at this. Remember this part, and we find the dictionary form. Masinaham. And we look on here. That dictionary form is this one here. So if we take off the end and everything else that's left over, we can put in any one of those spaces. So that's this here. This is the leftover bit. So now we'll go back down and we'll put it in here. Boom. Imasanahaman. If you want to, just say it out loud the way you hear it. Don't try to read it. Just say it exactly the way you hear it. Imasanahaman. That long A at the end. Man. Imasanahaman. It's going to sound a little bit different than this one. So that means me, like I'm reading it or as I'm reading it. Kia imasanahaman. Man. That's going to make that short A sound. Imasanahaman. Imasanahaman. This one here, that person, that other person. Stress changes because we lose that extra syllable at the end. Imasinaha. Now this is tricky for a while because it just sounds like this. Imasinaha. But in some places you will hear that ending. Imasinaha. That K is very soft on the end. This next one here, us but not you. the A is longer and that K is a little bit more prominent. Emasanahamak. Emasanahamak. This one again sounds sort of like the way I hear it anyway. I almost don't hear that. It sounds emasanahama. Ma. It just sounds like ma on the end sometimes. But they spell it this way so you recognize what it is. This one here, all y'all are writing it. Emasanahamek. Make, that's y'all. And you'll hear these patterns in the language whenever you hear make, yake. Whenever you hear that, it's always y'all in the conjunct. Y'all make or yake. Etoskik. Y'all are working. Emasanahamek. All y'all are writing. This one here. Those ones. You hear this a lot, this form in stories, eh? That's why it's important to know all of these, because when you hear those stories, then you're going to hear all of these. Masanahakik. Masanahakik. All of them were writing. Masanahakik. And then this one, again, you don't hear this one as much because it's I don't want to say less common. It's mostly just in stories. Like if you're visiting or you're hearing stories or whatever, then you hear this form a lot because they're always talking about that other person. Musana hamiyat. Musana hamiyat. So that's the conjunct. That's this chart here, the VTIs we're doing today. So we covered this column here, the first one, they call that the independent mode. This one here. Oh, I have a cat. Hello, kitty cat. Hello, kitty cat. Are you knocking all my stuff all over the floor? This kitty wants to be in the middle of everything. We just got cats. We are cat people now. I covered that first column up at the top, and now we just covered the conjunct. This last column is actually really easy. It just means if. You just drop the E on the front and you just add I, except for this one, the kwawi and the itse. That T turns to C on this one, down on the bottom here. And then this one here changes. Instead of kik. Masanahak kwawi. So there's a little bit of practice there. Again, like this turns into O instead of an I. Just to differentiate. But Nikki says, Amiyat, can you explain it again? So there's two third persons. There's like this third person, and then there's another third person called the obviate. Sometimes they call them the proximate and the obviate. So let me think of a good example here. So I might say I'm going to pick on Nikki. Wap male. I'm going to just pick on somebody else from the chat. We'll pick on a name that's easy to obviatize. Pick on Ray. I would say Ray Wa. Is the way you'd probably say this. Masin na hamiyat. Okay. So there's two things going on here. Okay. So this word wap meo means that person sees someone else. This person sees someone else. Okay, which is technically that other person, but they call it obviate. Okay. So in this case, Nikki is the third person. The reason we know that is because Ray has that wa on the end. Okay, so that makes this one. I could change those around. If I said Nikki wa, wap male Ray, that would change positions because the word order doesn't matter in that case. That would make Ray the third person. So you see this a lot in stories. Okay. So what this means here is this amit. This is also that third obviate person. So whoever's in that position, in this case it's nikiwa, that means that person's doing the writing. That's the obviate person. So there's a couple ways you can do this, right? If I said, masinahama or masinaha, if I said that, masinaha, I had it wrong for a sec there. Masinaha, that's now that third person. So what this means is as Ray was writing, Ray saw Nikki as Ray was writing. That's what this means. But if I put this in, amiyat, now that's back to the obviate. Ray saw Nikki as Nikki was writing. Okay? So if I say, masinaha, Ray saw Nikki as Ray was writing. Amiyat, Ray saw Nikki as Nikki was writing. We need to differentiate between those two third persons. So in this case, that wapmeo, because the wa exists on the end, this wa right here, wa, that means Ray is seeing Nikki. Okay, because that wapameo means, like if I just said, if I said it this way, okay, Ray and Nikki are standing over there. And I apologize, I don't know anybody's pronouns, but I'm just going to say, she saw her. Okay, I'll just assume. Who's seeing who? Or if we just keep it neutral, we'll say they saw them. They saw them. Who's seeing who? Who's doing the seeing? We have to clarify. Pick on my brothers for a minute. Bill and Warren are over there. He's talking to him. Who's talking to who? Who's doing the talking? In this case, we don't know. It's ambiguous, right? We don't know. But in Nehioewin, it's not ambiguous. It's specific. Okay? If you said, he's talking to him, that's big squatto. That means, big squateo, that means that one is talking to that obviate one. But now we need to determine who's obviate and who's not. So the way we do that, Bill, Warren, wa. We put that wa on the end. That tells us that Warren is the obviate. So let me mark those. Put this one in maybe like, I don't know, like maybe red. That's this one here, red. That wa, that's what that means. Okay, and this one we'll make it in maybe like green, I guess. Make it green, and that's this one. Right, that's what that means. If we move the wa onto Bill, they change position. Then that would mean Warren speaking to Bill. So if we take that back to this example, right, Nikki wa, I'll put that red back on there. That's this one. That's this one here, amiyat. This one here, amiyat. And Ray is the green one, okay? That's this one here. Ray sees Nikki as Nikki is writing, if that makes sense. That makes sense? We need to have that. If we say masinahah, then we're talking about Ray's doing the writing. In masinahamiyat, we're talking about Nikki's doing the writing. We need to know who's doing it. And it seems confusing now, but it will get less confusing. We see that in the stories all the time. And that's the thing, is you can't read these stories if you don't understand that. If you try to read a story or tell a story, because you never tell a story about one person. You never tell a story about one person. You're always telling a story about other people. There's always more than one person in a story. So you need to understand that obviate, how that works, because there'll be you'll have a sentence where both of these people are doing something. Well, in this sentence, both of these people are doing something. In this sentence, Ray is seeing Nikki, and Nikki is writing stuff. And again, if I change this to masinaha, okay, then this isn't Nikki anymore. This is now Ray. Okay. Ray saw Nikki while Ray was writing. As Ray was writing, Ray saw Nikki. Right? And if we change this again, we take that off of there, we put Ray wa, this changes again. Now we change that to that. This is now the obviate. All these colors change. Now this is the third person. Change that around. I wish I could do this faster, but this is what it is. Now Nikki's seeing Ray while Nikki's writing. Nikki wapmeo Ray wai masinaha. And then again, if we change this back, amiyit. Oh, put my fingers in the wrong. Amiyit. Now that becomes obviate again. Nikki wapmeo Ray wai masinahamiyit. Nikki saw Ray while Ray was writing. Or as Ray was writing. Hope that's clear. That's where that obviate is. Okay. 8:20. Let's wrap it up there. That's lots. That was a lot. Oh. Gasois. Hope I'm saying that right. Tansigia. Mananto. Mananto Nia. I will try to remember to put this on my YouTube because perfect. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. Okay. Let's visit for a few minutes. For the last few minutes. How do you remember all of these words and rules? Practice. Let me turn my camera around. We'll visit. Flip camera. Practice. Practice and hang out with other learners. That's how. And I'll keep resources. So, and if you want to speak the language, if you want to speak the language, you have to do a few things. You have to practice the language. You have to listen to the language every day. You have to practice speaking the language. I say you have to. You don't have to do those things. If you want to improve at the language, then let me say it this way. If you work on the language every day, you will improve at the language every day. So when I started, it became imperative for me to spend a lot of time on the language, spend a lot of time working on the language. So if there was language there, if there was a place where I thought there was language, I went there. If it was a class, I went there. If it was a ceremony, I went there. If I thought there was a fluent speaker there, I went there. I was in Edmonton, so I would go to the conversational group. I keep talking about conversational groups, and I don't think there's very many of them around, but honestly, Wayne Jackson started a conversational group in Edmonton in 2008. That's almost 20 years ago. Like 17 years ago, he started this conversational group. It's still going. Every Thursday, somebody shows up. Every Thursday. And I got more language at that conversational group than I got anywhere. Because I could go there. It was kind of like a class, like they would constantly work on things. I'm going to move this over a little bit. I feel like I'm talking right into the camera. Move that back a bit. Can I move that? That's not too noisy. I'm adjusting my phone. So they would go there and they would work on stuff like, it's probably backwards. This book, somebody would bring this, and we'd work on something like read a story out of this every week. They'd have like a story, or they'd have a word list out of here, and every week we would work on something. And be like, somebody would read the story and then they'd say, okay, what does that mean? what does this mean? We go over it. And then every time you show up, there'd be different people show up. Sometimes there'd be fluent speakers show up at the conversational group. So then you could practice your language. You could ask questions, or sometimes 2 fluent speakers that show up, and then they would talk to each other. And like this happened last February when I was out in Edmonton for the SILR gathering last February at the River Cree, and I was in town for a couple of weeks. And I went out to the conversational group, and I announced on TikTok one day, I'm like, I'm going to the conversational group. Here's where it's at. And a whole bunch of people showed up. There was like 25 people at that conversational group. It was like more than I'd ever seen before. And all these fluent speakers. Robbie Muswa was there. Then these other fluent speakers out of Fox. Where are they? Fox Creek. A mom, and I don't know if it was her partner, like family member, and then a bunch of, and then the kids were fluent. There were like 7 or 8 fluent speakers at this one conversational group. And every time the fluent speakers started talking to each other, like all of it, we just got quiet. We would just like listen, right? So that was good. Just hanging out with other learners is huge. There were a bunch of us that we still have a Discord. It's pretty quiet right now, but there were a bunch of us on that got together. We would meet every week over Zoom, sometimes a couple times a week. We would work on transcribing together. We would work on reading stories together. We would play games together. We would try and tell stories together. Honestly, like trying to find everything that we could possibly find to create opportunities for language every day. That's a really, really long answer to a very short question. The question was, how do you remember all these words and rules? And the short answer is practice. Practice every day. And then you just learn a little bit at a time, right? Like if you think about what's the most technical thing you know how to do, right? Like if you finished a 4-year degree or like a master's or a PhD in something, you have very specific knowledge because you didn't just learn it all at once. You build on top of a little bit more. And that's a good way to learn language, actually. Like I think about this a lot. Even looking at these Michif cards and stuff, or learning different words. If you get to a certain point where you have enough language that you'll hear a word and it will be very similar to a word you already know. There'll just be one piece that's different. So then you're like, oh, what does that mean? And then they'll tell you and be like, oh, okay. And then you'll remember it. So you never just learn everything at once. You learn like little bits at a time. Like, I'm going to think of a word here. I'm going to go to Ben's site and look up. Like we were looking at this. Let me flip my camera around. We were looking at these words, right? There's a whole list here. So we're looking at this part of this word, atese, that atese part, right? So if you know that this is like in bimatse. Bimatse is like living. Nehiwatese. If you went and found that word, nehiwatese, let me find it here next. No, it's going to be after that yet. It's going to be up here somewhere. Right? Nehiwatasu. That one lives like a traditional life, you could say. Then you can start to, that part at the se means like, how did Neil put that before? Like the way you, let me scroll back in the comments because Neil said it back in the, oh, it was way back there too, way at the beginning of the live. Way at the beginning. Sort of like how you conduct yourself or how you, the way you carry yourself. That's how he said it. The way you carry yourself. Pamatase we say is living, right? But that atase is like the way you carry yourself. So then if you look at this one, naspatasu. So that atase is the same in there. But that naspa, that nasp means miserable. Naspatase, that naspatasu, that one's miserable. Nehiwatasu, that one leaves a traditional life. Nesoatasu, that one is weak. So that neso must mean weak. Nisuwanatasu, that one perishes, that one is ruin. Nisuwan. Nipa mayatasu, that one is purple, but like animate, right? So you don't have to, when you learn, if you just learn little bits at a time. Bimatasu, to live. Bisigwatasu, to be bold with women, I guess. I've never heard that word. Sohgatsu, to be strong. That one is strong, right? Wiipatsu, is that one's like dirty, like Wipatsu. Yapatsu, same thing. So, like, you can just learn little bits, right? And you're not starting, you just add on a little bit to what you already know. Akwatsu, that one is stern or sharp. Ganatsu, that one is clean. This website is bengodden.com. Where can I write that where you'll be able to read it? So this is a site that Ben put together to let you look up words based on the... That's the site there. Go ahead and take a screenshot. You can look up words based on the morpheme or by part. But then you can do multiple searches at the same time. So you can search for a part of a word. Like if I go back to the start, click on dictionary, and then I'll search for gis, and it'll give me a bunch of stuff that has gis, and then it show at the top here, it shows I'm searching for gis, and then I'll search for pai at the same time. So now I'm searching for words that have gis and pai in them. So I get getas gis ne paiu. And so this can be useful for trying to find words with common morphemes. Gis pai tsegeo, gis pai heo, gis pai hueo, gis pai tao, gis paiu. Those are the same. Gis paiu. Gis pipayin, gis pipaiu, gis ska pai tsegeo. I don't know any of these words. Gisiska paiho. Anyway, so you can do stuff like that. If you hit that dictionary button again, it'll clear all your searches. And you could say you want to search for gise, and you can find all the words that have gise in it. Yeah. Gise. And then... Yeah, so if you wanted to say gise and then tuta. There's two. Gise wat stutoweo, gise wat tutam, gise wat totoweo, gise wat stotoweo. Which is interesting. These almost kind of mean the same thing to me. Gise wat stotoweo, gise wat stotoweo, kind and generous to someone. That to part means something, so we can go back to the beginning and look for that. Let's find all the words that have that to. So now we have all the words that have that to in there. Aspe mo totoeo. Ayis totoeo. Ayuage mo totoeo. Agaya si mo totoeo. Speak English to somebody. Anyway, it's just a way of looking up words using morphemes. Yeah, community is a big part of learning. Yep, top way. It's important to... the language doesn't... The language... if we're talking about language revitalization, if that's what we're doing here, language revitalization, we have to speak the language to each other. Right? We're not revitalizing the language if we're not speaking it. We're not speaking it to each other. As a form of communication, as a form of passing along our stories, as a form of passing along and sharing our cultural values, our teachings and our traditions. That's how the language lives. We have to do those things. We're going to wrap it up now. Maybe just a couple more minutes if there's any last questions. I fulfilled my obligation to have a Saturday live, or Sunday live. I'm going to start doing lives again on Sundays. I keep saying that and then something comes up. Yes, we have learned to be humble and keep trying. Yep. Yeah, so now, any last minute questions, thoughts, comments before we shut her down? We'll go for a couple more minutes just in case there's any last questions here. Showed you my Red River coins, eh? Aren't these cool? Red River dollars. I found these from buying some coins off a lady. I'm like, Red River dollars, I have to buy those. There's 4 coins here in this little set. I think I paid $20 for these. I think they're only worth 4. But they were made in 1976, and I just think they're super cool. Clarence Telenius, who has made painting Canada's wilderness his life's work, says of his Red River buffalo hunt diorama, never again shall we see on the prairies the days when the buffalo, the grizzly, the gray wolf, and the Indian shared mastery of the plains, but in story, in painting the dioramas such as this, I try to make those days live again for those who never saw them. Cover and face of coin from the Red River Buffalo Hunt, pictured below diorama and the painting, the Red River Buffalo Hunt by Clarence Telenius. These works are on display at the Museum of Man and Nature in Winnipeg. I wonder if they're still there. There's a little painting, if you can see it. Alright. Yeah, we'll see you on Discord if you're there. It's been quiet, but I'm going to ping everybody here in the next little bit. Wake up the Discord again. Yeah, okay, down to the wire. Just one more minute if there's any last questions. I kind of want to take these coins out and look at them. I need to get out my... They're super shiny. I'll probably wreck them if I... There's no fingerprints on them even. I should probably put them back. They're pretty cool. I used to collect coins, but I don't have much of a collection anymore. No, don't take them out. I know, right? Put them back. Put them back. So I'll get them all. Now I can't get them back in the package. Ah, I'm cursed. There we go. They went back in. There, they're back. They're okay. Yeah, I'm going to look at them for a bit and then I'll give them away. Give them to somebody. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They're just, I think they're cool. I don't know if they have a lot of value or anything. I just think they're cool. I didn't even know we had the 4 mint marks representative of Manitoba. It would have been cool if before the resistance, when like Manitoba was, or when Manitoba was our government, right? When we had our own government in Manitoba before Canada came along and the resistance and all that, it would have been cool if we had our own money and stuff. I don't know if we did. I don't think we did. Any of our own money or whatever. It'd be kind of cool. Anyway. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. Kakio nam skat na wow. Naras kung tinawaw kakio gapegyo goye kanuts. All that come to visit. Tasasaw, come if you could say sasawi mo to tatoyak, to practice together. I don't know if you could say that. Holy, this cat's going to town under my chair. I don't know what it's attacking. We're going to leave it there tonight. Expitamaya. We'll see you next week, and if otherwise, we'll see you on the Discord. And mio tipiskan sick. Muestas. Ouch, cat, stop it.